Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and Rich Lopp here for the Awakening Experience. Today, we're going to be covering the King of Cups. Definitely was not the card I was even on my radar for today. How you doing, bro?
Doing good. Well, that's why I texted you and asked you, if you have a card that you're feeling, and I didn't get a response. So I was like, well, let me just pick one then. So.
No, you picked a good one because it's a very important card, especially this show's all about the awakening experience, but then there's another tier of all experiences in life, but especially the awakening experience about truly mastering that experience. And I feel like this is one of those cards, if you had to pick maybe like 4 or 5 cards of mastery and spirituality, manifestation, or even just living a good, just overall spiritual life, this is one of those like have to have cards, I feel.
Yeah.
What do you feel? Well,
it's very important because when we deal with the kings and the queens of any of the suits, they are basically embodying what it means for that element. Like the King of Cups, obviously cups is water, which is emotion. So the King of Cups in the upright is a very emotionally intelligent and emotionally mature man. One of the things that I like to say to my clients when a king or a queen of cups comes up is when it comes to the King of Cups, he's very emotionally intelligent. And here's the analogy I use. There's only one way to get your hands on his cup, and you ain't gonna just come up and take it from him. So the only way you can get your hands on his cup is if he makes the conscious decision to give it to you. Now, if he gives you the cup, if he gives you his cup, his heart, his love, and you dump it out, and you slam it, spit on it, shit on it, kick it, and you fuck it all up, he's not going to waste a bunch of time pointing the finger at you. He's not going to sit and play the blame game and the victim game. He's going to take his cup back, and he's going to sit and think, okay, well, what does that tell me about me? What did I learn about myself from this? Why did I look at you and come to the conclusion that you were somebody I could trust with my cup? So that tells me something about me. So how can I work on whatever this problem is that I learned about myself and gain some wisdom from that experience? And he takes emotional accountability, basically. That's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, I would look at it like, one, he's gone through it all emotionally, so it doesn't, things don't, it's like, I feel like, if you put somebody like in a car and they're not emotionally stable, like, oh my gosh, like stop the car, or just, you're going a little too fast. It's like, he's stable. I love that it's like granite stone that he's sitting on top of the water. So there's a complete stability there and an understanding of no matter what emotional waves, which it really does come with like age. But it doesn't mean it has to be a specific age, but it deals with maturity. It deals with this.
Yeah.
I'm emotionally mature. And in astrology, we go through our Saturn returns, which, up until that point at 29 years old, like even at 27, you think you're an adult, and it's like some little thing comes up and it's like, dude, who do I call? I don't know how to deal with this shit. But once you get to that Saturn return, there's that emotional stability where it's like, I've been through this before, where younger people will like flip out over something. It's like, oh, no big deal. We just need to call this person. Get in the car, bring the dog over to the vet. You just kind of have that, like, I'm not going to get too lost. And the same thing goes for if you're like an emergency, ambulance, let's say, tech, and you're out there and you're helping people. First thing you have to be is emotionally stable and calm. If somebody's, where's the bleeding? You can't handle life when you're an emotional frazzled mess, let alone manifest anything in this world.
Yeah. Yeah, that is something that I think is very, very important, and it was very difficult for me, being a fixed air sign, which would be like a King of Swords. Embodying that King of Cups energy has been very difficult, I think, because I'm the type, being a King of Swords, I can make it look like I'm calm, cool, and collected on the outside, and your average person would not suspect a thing, but on the inside, I'm going through a fucking train wreck.
Right.
And it took me.
Can we switch the cam back to Rich?
And it took me a minute to actually learn that there's a difference between controlling your emotions and controlling your behavior, especially on the manifestation path. A lot of people They think, you know what, matter of fact, I saw somebody share a meme on Facebook, and it was trying to debunk something about the law of attraction. It said, they say that you don't attract what you want, but you attract what you are. Well, that's not true. What if you are kind and you attract unkind people? What if you are giving and you attract, greedy people? And I said, no. It doesn't matter how you act. It doesn't matter what it looks like you're doing. It doesn't matter how you behave. I mean, it does matter. Those things are important. I'm not saying that they're not, but the vibration, embodying kindness, being a kind person and acting like a kind person are two different things. So that's one of the things I've been learning over the past 3 or 4 years, is that I can act a certain way. I can look like I'm calm, cool, and collected. I can do good acts of service and be kind. But if I'm not vibrating at a frequency of emotional stability, it doesn't matter what it looks like I'm doing. So whatever frequencies I'm casting, I can fool everybody around me, but I can't fool the universe. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, because behind this card, there's a red ship, which it almost looks like a Venus flytrap with like a bunch of fucking teeth. But at first, I remember thinking that back in the day, but it's really, to command a ship, you have to be emotionally okay, because there's going to be calm waters, there's going to be fucking storms, but even more importantly, sometimes there might not be wind. And you can't trip out, where it's like, it reminds me of, just like you said, you can look like I'm the commander of this ship, but be pooping your pants and we're all smelling it.
Yeah.
And you're like, underneath, you're trying to look, and then eventually, it's gonna stink no matter what, Yeah. And I feel like that's where you can't really be in that place where you want to level up when you're in a position to where you're emotionally, frazzled over things, because you're not gonna. It's like slipping, you could, if you're in an emotional rut, or you're in an emotional panic or frantic, you're going to miss out on so many things. That's the other thing, is he's very observant. When you're in a calm emotional space and you're really owning the inside to the outside, you observe more and you can see more what's happening. It might look like there's a storm, but there's that water right there we can go through. It looks pretty chill right there, and the way that the wind's going and the way that I'm seeing it, we can avoid maybe this situation. Or if we have to go through it, this will be the easier way to go through it. You're able to deal with finding a route away, the route through, the route that's around the other way. There's a million different opportunities that you have. I feel like if you're just in one emotional rut, you always look for that one thing, and it's usually a savior complex that's subliminally not even realized. Like, I just need to be saved, or I just need somebody to fix this for me. And then that's not manifesting.
No.
That's just being stuck in a fucking quicksand trap.
Yeah, it's the opposite of manifesting. The majority of the reason why we are so horrible at manifesting is because we expect the outside world to change to fit what we want, when the trick is to change your inside world to what you want first. And your inside world is what changes your outside world. That's the biggest illusion that we live under in this life, is we give all control of our emotions to the outside world. I feel this way because something happened out here. In order for me to feel the way I want to feel, something out here needs to happen.
Yeah.
When actually it's the other way around. I need to figure out how to match that vibration that I want to feel first. And that's what will make the thing out here do what I want it to do. So that's the trick behind it. And I think another thing too, especially another reason why I picked the King of Cups specifically, is because men over the generations have been so programmed to do what I was just talking about a minute ago, and swallow their negative emotions and control their behavior. I don't know about you, but me and a lot of the young men in my generation were raised, quit crying, don't be a bitch. Nobody cares how you feel. Suck it up and deal with it. Nobody gives a shit how you feel. And so it trains men to just swallow it, bury it, and deal with it. And like I tell my clients all the time, you ain't gonna shit that energy out like a turd.
Right.
It ain't going nowhere. So it's my contention. I don't know if I've said this on an episode or not. It's my contention. That's the real reason why women live longer than men. That's the reason.
I agree with you on that one.
You can take the most emotionally immature woman. She's a bitch. She's always throwing fits when things don't go her way. She's blaming everybody else for her problems, throwing temper tantrums, and while I don't condone that, you know, and yes, she will end up manifesting her own bullshit. That's a totally different topic that trails off into a different subject. But just for the sake of the point that I'm making here, you can take her and the most respectful, stoic man who just buries it, swallows it, doesn't want to burden other people with their problems, doesn't want to disrespect anybody. Guess what? She's still going to live longer than him because at least she's releasing that energy. And that man, one of two things is eventually going to end up happening if he keeps doing that. Either A, one day he's going to spontaneously combust like a fucking psycho, or B, it's going to manifest into an illness and kill him.
Yeah.
My personal belief is that's the real reason why women usually outlive men.
Yeah, because it's like stale energy that you're holding on to, which is the worst thing that you could possibly do.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's definitely not stale, the King of Cups. I mean, we were just looking at his feet in their green, and it's the same green that's in the water, which is like the seaweed. I called them crocs, but they also kind of look amphibious.
Yeah.
So there's a way that he's adaptable to how he kind of gets through everything. He's ready for whether it's stormy or not. It's also weird that he's wearing a green and red cape. And it's interesting because to me, the Emperor card is the red, big major arcana card, right? And so I feel like this is like one of those secrets of like how the Emperor actually gets to become an emperor is that he's emotionally secure, but he also knows how to be a diplomat, talk to people, get to where he needs to go emotionally, but he's not losing focus because emotions... We all want our own emotional way for things to go. And I think the King of Cups is realizing always like, let me be open to the way that the emotion is actually presenting itself instead of always being stuck in the one emotional field that you want it to always be in, which that doesn't really manifest because then it's not only a frequency match, but there is no connection.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if we were to go to Europe right now with our 110 plugs, we're going to have to adapt and we're going to have to get an adapter to go into... the UK or going to the EU. And instead of trying to force it into the plug emotionally, there's that point where it's like, oh, you know what? All right, this is a little different. This is a little weird, but I'm okay, whatever. Where's the adapter? Okay, here we go. It's like, believe it or not, I feel like it's a lot more simpler than this card puts out as more of it's a king, so it feels so major, but all the kings are so secure. And it's that security that I feel like can get you so much farther in life and get you to your actual big destinations at the same time, too.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny that you mentioned the Emperor, too, because I almost picked the Emperor and then chose this one. And with the Emperor and the kings and, you know, that masculine, authoritative, you know, divine masculine energy, the funny thing about it is that a true emperor or a king or a divine masculine energy, he's in control, but he only takes control of what he has control of. That's a big thing too.
Yeah.
About a lot of people like to try to control things they don't have control of, like a King of Cups reversed will try to emotionally manipulate you. One of my biggest pet peeves is when somebody demands an apology. Say you're sorry. And it's like, dude, being sorry is a genuine emotion. I don't want you to apologize unless you actually feel sorry. If you don't feel sorry, then don't say it. Well, what's the point in mouthing the words? Mouth the words that you are sorry, even though you're fucking not. That's a King of Cups reverse type move. Trying to control the way somebody feels. Trying to make somebody feel the way they want them to feel. You don't have control of how somebody feels. You can't make somebody feel a certain way. You can't make somebody respect you if they're a disrespectful person. And he understands that. Does that make sense?
I mean, yeah, and I'm going to use a weird example, but it reminds me of Boogie Nights with Dirk Diggler and how he's like, you like that? You like that? Because he has a big penis, I guess, in that movie, right? And the way that it's like, the girl's kind of like, no big deal.
Yeah.
Right, where you're like trying to make somebody not only like what you like emotionally, which could be that narcissistic aspect to it, but it also can be like, why would I want to try to have somebody like me that doesn't like me?
Yeah.
That's just like, number one, it's not attractive. And number two, it just is to where it actually doesn't fulfill any emotional need. Because even if, let's say, somebody did give you what you wanted, it's never enough. So there's that part of the King of Cups where he's actually satisfied with the way things are.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Tuesday or Friday or Saturday. Because I feel like that's where, if we were to kind of maybe scope it out a little bit wider through this awakening experience, like I see one of the biggest patterns, because all the days of the week are named by planets. So it's like, you know, it's so interesting to see Monday, Moon Day. That's where it comes from. And everybody's so moody, like, oh, it's Monday. But when you're in the Matrix, yeah, it's Monday. When you're really in your true emotional, powerful path, it doesn't matter if it's a Monday or a Friday or whatever. You're looking forward to whatever the day brings.
Monday's my favorite day of the week.
It's a great day.
Yeah.
But when you're in the Matrix and you're really not happy with the place that you're at in your life, and maybe you don't feel comfortable, because that's the other thing, is there's comfort, right? Like you're not feeling comfortable in yourself yet to become where you want to go in your life. Well, that Monday's going to always be daunting, of whether it's the thing you hate doing all the time and you're so afraid to get over that, or you're too afraid and you've already got, I see this too. People get over the thing that they leave the job, they leave the relationship, they're fucking stoked. That don't mean you're the King of Cups yet. The King of Cups is what you do after you've made that tough choice.
Yeah.
And how you emotionally are okay with continuing on. Because I feel like the King of Cups, even though he looks like he's sitting in one space, it's not like that thing's just stuck there in the ocean going around him. It's floating at the same time too. This is a still picture in a moment. You know,
Yeah.
like there's still the movement in life. And I feel like people get stuck, and maybe you can maybe help with people. Like, what happens? Like, I see it so many times. I quit my 9 to 5 I hated. I got out of my corporate job, or I got out of that horrible relationship. But then to get to the place they really want to go, it's like they revel in what they got out of instead of what they wanted to get towards.
Yeah, it goes right back to what we were talking about a minute ago, because the reason they end up finding themselves in that position to begin with is because they're like I said, we always like to blame the outside world for our feelings. So when it comes to like a job, we get into the job, and then after a while we start getting sick of it, and then we blame our unhappiness on the job. So I think the job is creating my unhappiness. So I need to get rid of the job in order to feel happy. Or in relationships, it's the same thing. Most people right now who are out looking for a relationship, they're looking for a relationship because they feel lonely. They feel unhappy. And they think, I need a relationship to create my happiness and make my loneliness go away. And then they get into the relationship, and it produces that pleasure response that we all get whenever we get something new, whether it's a new car or a new job or a new relationship. It feels really good when it's new, and then that feeling begins to dwindle away. And then when that feeling begins to dwindle away, that is when, whether or not you're actually truly embodying that love and that abundance, will be revealed. Where most people, as soon as that starts to dwindle away, what happens in their relationship?
Jump.
Yeah, they start getting sick of each other. They're bitching at each other. They don't like being around each other because they never formed that actual connection to begin with.
Right.
They were expecting the pleasure to be their happiness. And then when that pleasure feeling goes away, which it will, even when the universe brings you the one divine partner it has picked out for you, that feeling will still go away after about a year or so. And then that is when, whether or not true love is even present, will be revealed. Because then once that feeling dwindles away, now we're best friends. We still love hanging out with each other. We still have a good time. We can still sit and have a conversation like best friends. But then when we never form that true, genuine love connection, when that feeling goes away, now we can't stand each other. Every little thing you do irritates the shit out of me. Everything I do irritates the shit out of you. We don't like the same music. We can't hang out with the same friends. You just get on my nerves when I look at you. As soon as you walk in the door, the tension is in the room. You know,
Yeah.
You've been there before.
I've been there before.
Yeah. So does that answer the question? Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, especially, yeah, because I think people can still be attached to that emotional connection of the passion, as you said, or the pleasure of what was maybe the thing inhibiting where they want to go. And if you can't detach from that, how are you going to get to the other thing? But it reminds me of how you were just talking, though, about no matter what it is, relationships, products, even starting a business, it's about the evolution of the frequency. So I think in all matters, you get to that place where it's like, it's not that it's losing energy. So if something's going down, the opposite is going up. So it's like, it needs to evolve. I mean, if you're, if you're like doing the same thing every fucking day and you don't want to evolve, well, guess what? It's going to feel like it's going down because life is always an evolution. We're growing up, everything in life's going up. So it's like, you've got to evolve. And I feel like that's where it's like a true test, because it's like, is there a frequency match if both are willing to come together? And let's say you said it's about after a year to 18 months, which would make sense astrologically with Venus retrogrades every 18 months, right? It's kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, like people's values shift and that, you know, and that's unexpected and that's normal. It's not like some big crazy thing that, you know, one day you like this and the other day you don't like that. I'm not talking about people, but just like things in your life or interests, or maybe you bring, you know, you used to maybe play tennis when you were 5, and now you feel like playing tennis, but that doesn't go with the schedule of the other partner at the moment or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? Values shift, but it's all about how to, it'd be boring to me to still keep doing the same thing every day. If you talk about radio vibrations and we help people understand frequency, that'd be like the same tired song playing on a fucking radio and never changing the song.
Yeah.
And so I think that when people have relationships issues, it's like, it's more like, where do we just need to evolve and go be creating or be aligning in these higher frequencies that are presenting themselves? They're always presenting themselves, but we're choosing not to look at them because that's where it gets to that reversal where it's like, no, I just want to stay in the same spot because it's been comfortable.
Yeah, and that mindset was brainwashed into us, and I'll tell you how it was brainwashed in. It's been going on for decades in the movies. You know, when for whatever reason the two people finally come together at the end of the movie, they come together, they kiss, and then the credits roll, and it says happily ever after. So that subconsciously paints this picture in our mind that they come together, they kiss, and then they sit back in an armchair, kick their feet back, and they just sit in the same spot, and they just make each other happy for the rest of their life. So that's what that idea, people don't realize it, but that idea that we're just going to come together, and then once we come together, it's all good. We just sit and chill, you know, just like what I went through when I built my business. You know, my goal was to make a 6-figure business, you know, and have my dream house and my dream car and have my family back. And I got there and I was like, okay, all right, now what? Because you don't ever stop at a finish line and chill. But we always put these finish lines in our mind, like we're going to cross the finish line and then pull out a lawn chair and sit and chill for the rest of our life. And people do that in relationships too. So when a king and queen of cups come together, yeah, you're going to make it up to this level. And then once you all complete that level together, now you have to make it up to the next level. But the hard part about relationships is you can't make the other person level up with you. This is the hardest part. Yep. This is, and even doing what I do for a living, where I do a lot of relationship coaching and whatnot through my readings, I'll tell people all the time, I can't give you advice that'll help your whole relationship. I can give you some things that you can do that'll have an influence on it, but the only way I'd be able to coach and help your relationship is if both of you came to me wanting to hear the advice, and then both of you, with your own free will, decided to do the work that it would take. One person can't do it.
Yeah, it reminds me, I know I'm going to get super cheeseball, but it's like the only movie that actually kind of does play it to where a real relationship goes is The Notebook, which is why it's probably one of the more popular movies for relationships, because they have a real relationship and they get into fights, and then the war comes. He goes to war and she finds another guy, and then she sees him in the newspaper because he promised that he would take this old house that they lost her virginity in, basically. Oh, shit. And he buys that house, and then she has to make a choice. Like, do I go with the person I've loved forever, or do I go with the guy I've already been engaged to? And then, she makes the choice with him, and it seems like it's happily ever after, but then it fast forwards to now they're in their 70s and she has dementia, and he chooses to, this is very King of Cups to me, chooses to make the story of their lives and read it to her to where it gets to the point to where she remembers for like 1 to 3 to 4 minutes to remember again that it's him, all for that moment. And his kids come like, why aren't you living with us or seeing us? Why are you living with mom at this facility? And he's like, I love her. I care about her. So there's that other part where there's that, tough shit happens in relationships, and it's about whether or not you're going to really go through shit with people too. Yeah. The hard times, the rough times. And in that movie, I know it's cheeseball, but it's so true. because he's willing to be the King of Cups, and he's still expressive in that movie. He cries. He's so happy. She goes, how much time do we have? Last time it was 4 minutes. And then even then she forgets him right away, and they die together because they're on the same frequency match. They go to sleep, and that movie's fucking deep.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's the epitome of it right there. And like I said, the willingness to go through it, when a lot of times, sometimes people will come to me and they'll ask me like, what's going to happen with my relationship? Because they keep cycling around the same cycle. And I most of the time I'll have to tell them, well, honestly, if this energy stays the way it's going, it's going to eventually come to an end, eventually at some point. Yeah. The only thing you can do as an individual is make the decision to evolve yourself. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that, especially if they're not the catalyst. This is where a King or Queen of Cups energy comes in. Even if I'm not the actual catalyst for the problem. Because sometimes you'll have one person who's the main catalyst, who's starting the fights, who's starting the arguments, who is the main problem. Even if that's not me, I still have to find something that I can do to make myself evolve. Something. Yeah. Let me maybe think of a different way to respond to this situation, or let me maybe pick something that has nothing to do with the relationship, some other kind of emotional trigger. Maybe I get pissed off whenever somebody cuts me off in traffic. I got to start working on myself. So when you start doing that, whenever you start working on those emotional triggers, when you start taking emotional accountability to fix yourself, you don't realize it, but you're making a very slow frequency change. And here's what happens usually. From what I've seen, what I've witnessed, usually when one person decides to be the bigger person and take emotional accountability and start evolving and growing, most of the time, I would say probably 60 to 70% of the time, the other person will see that, because what's happening, see, we can only come together if we're a frequency match. That's the only way we can come together. So if I start growing and evolving, I start doing this. So we're becoming less and less of a vibrational match because I'm growing and I'm evolving. They're going to feel that. They're going to feel that energetic disconnect or the static, you know. They're going to feel that. Most of the time, they will see what you're doing and they will follow suit because pride gets in the way. Well, I'm not changing. Why do I need to change? You're the one that needs to change. Or you're the one that always does this. You're the one, you know, there's all this finger pointing that goes on. You know what? I'll go first. I'll be the bigger person. You're going to sit and watch me grow and evolve. Most of the time, they'll see you doing that. They'll feel that, and they will follow suit. And then the two of you can grow together, and that's what will save the relationship. The only other thing that could happen is you continue to grow and evolve. You continue to do this. By the way, by the time you've grown and evolved to the point to where you're turning into a different person, they haven't, then the two of you will separate by way of universal law, and you'll attract in a new person on the new frequency. Does that make sense?
It totally does.
Yeah.
Especially the King of Cups, Queen of Cups, to me, it's like the feminine and masculine version. And to me, it's about how they deal with reacting. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like the king is outside in the world, which is kind of interesting, but the water world. Like he's out there where there's ships, there's crazy oceans. The Queen of Cups, she's like chilling, she's nurturing. There's a nurturing element where the king is much more in a I'm holding from reacting to the craziness that emotions are. Emotions are not some perfect thing that just fucking emotions are not some AI computer system. You know what I mean? There's no emotion in that. There's no emotion in the mind either. And when the emotions and the mind don't meet, which I think that's where King of Cups is willing to even register the mental capacity of what's happening. Because that's usually where anxiety comes from, is when the emotions can't understand what the mind's doing and the mind can't understand what the emotion's doing. That's anxiety. I mean, that's a frequency mismatch. When the mind and the emotions are doing this, the emotions are doing this, and the mind's like this. And then what happens in the middle is you're just like fracked out and totally freaked out. A King of Cups is willing to, all right, what is my mind saying? I'm not going to emotionally, in my emotions right now, I know I got a lot going on. I got this, I got the kid crying, I got this, I got that. I got to get this done. I got to get, oh, you know what? Oh, the mind's thinking of these alternatives and hasn't found the answer yet. Well, I'm not going to emotionally react and worry emotionally now about it. The mind hasn't found the answer yet. So I'm going to keep my emotions on enjoying this moment. This was, okay, this moment, you know. If it gets to real reacting like a fucking tiger running into the fucking room, Or in this world, some person from San Francisco on the streets breaking into fucking people's cars, showing up at the house and breaking our windows, then my emotions now are going to be willing to stand up and react to the situation. But I think that's what's hard is I don't think that, we forever are King of Cups people or somebody ever reaches that moment. Because if we are leveling up, like you say, constantly, right? There is no moment. The King of Cups always is tested on whether or not it's going to hold that new position instead of holding the old position. It's also willing to not just hold, but evolve and react to the evolution more than the staying in the same place constantly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You are always tested when it's time to level up. Always. And that's one of the most common questions I get. Am I on the wrong path? Because I'm experiencing challenges and problems. I'm like, yeah, you're on the right path. What that means is you're about to level up. None of us get to level up without being tested. None of us. The way I look at it, you ever go hiking in the desert,
Yeah.
and then you get up, there'll be the little trail, and then it splits off, and then one trail goes up the mountain, and then the other trail loops back around and just takes you back to the beginning. That's what it looks like to me. When it's time to level up, you'll be tested. And the test is, are you going to evolve or go back around and repeat? Because, if you want to move on and experience a level you've never experienced before, you have to demonstrate that you're willing to do something that you've never done before. I have to react to this situation differently. And that's been, and that's what keeps my relationship so successful. Every single time my wife and I experience a challenge or an obstacle, I have to think, okay, what's the right way to react to this? And I'll react in a way I've never reacted before, instead of like getting defensive and arguing. I'll be like, hold up. Let me try something I've never tried before. It's all right, baby. I love you. Give her a hug. And then poof, it's gone. Poof. Then that issue disappears. It disappears. You will keep cycling around and repeating that same argument or that same disagreement or that same problem. Will loop and loop and loop and loop and loop until I figure out how to respond to it or react to it differently. And then once you show that you've learned what you needed to learn from that, and then you demonstrate that with action, poof, that issue goes away. Then there'll be a new challenge and a new obstacle on the next level. But then that's the level up process throughout the whole fucking thing.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that this card has a fucking snake in the water. And that's the shadow side. And then the other side is this ship. I feel like whenever we get to a place where we feel like I've made it, that's usually when the dark comes. Because if we think about us as light workers on the light working journey, when you're sitting there and you're holding the light and you're holding it down, that's right when the dark fucking just comes and tests you. And then the universe goes, okay, it's time to up level and bring the light to a new place and bring it brighter. So it kind of reminds me of like, you're always having some thing come at you, and it's always the dark. It's always like your shadow, or it's always your own reactivity to it all. Sometimes it's hard. I feel like, it can be sometimes take days, weeks to where you realize, fuck, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're in a business, like, why was all this shit happening? The dark's tricky. It'll make it look like it's something else. And so I think that the King of Cups is also the one that knows like, oh, this is the dark coming through to try to disrupt this thing. And that's what's hard when you start to get people, groups, friends, a bunch of relationships, and everybody starts doing things. And then one person says the wrong thing that might not be malicious. And then everybody, right? The dark can sometimes come in and fucking try to disrupt good things when it really isn't that bad of a situation. And you have to be even keeled and calm the same way that if you're on a fucking ship and fucking there's a massive storm, you can't start fucking tripping out about it and start blaming it on like King James did when he wrote the book Demonology. Like he blamed it on witches. The boat that was going to take him to get his wife. And that it was so stormy that, of course, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't the universe's fault. It was these people. Or it was this situation.
Yeah.
And that's what's really weird. Is it a fucking weird? Or it looks like the fucking weird fucking aliens in Mexico, the paper mache,
Yeah.
So it's like, do you emotionally react to that and go, oh my God, those are what aliens are right away? It's like, I don't know. There's an intuition about this card too. That's super. I would say the super intuition. That's just truly, because if you're in a good emotional space where you're reacting to situations that are worthy and knowing when to put boundaries up to yourself first of those reactions, that's when intuition's fucking on the money.
Yeah.
But when intuition's off, we can turn something, and it's like, you know, I would call them like delusionalized fucking reactive intuitive goggles.
Yeah, yeah.
Where people start creating, to me, it's a psychosis of like, this is my twin flame, man.
Yes. Oh my God. And that runs rampant in the spiritual community. One thing I see that's such a big issue is people claim to be so intuitive. They don't realize your intuition and your emotions are two different things. People think their emotions are their intuition. Your emotions are the thing that receives your intuition. So intuition is an instantaneous download that's like a millisecond. You get an instant download. And then your emotions decipher it. So what people tend to do is they'll get, like, say for example, you're going out on a date with a new person that you just met, and there's something off. And you know, like, say maybe the person is dealing with a argument they had with their mom or something like that, and they're burying it. It's eating away at them. They can't, you know, but then you know, the other person feels that something's off. So they can feel, they feel that something's off with this person energetically, but then they start making up a bunch of shit. They start inventing a bunch of shit in their mind. Oh, well, I think they're talking to another person. And they just let themselves go haywire, you know, and And even in this line of work, I'm sure you've gotten this before. People show up in your inbox. I can tell you're going through something. Oh, are you and your wife having problems? Oh, you're going through something. It's like, shut the fuck up. No, I'm not. I didn't get a good night's sleep last night. Right. You know, like, people think they're intuitive when it's like your intuition and your emotions are not connected and they don't have a very good relationship, you know?
Yeah, and that's why this card, it's about receiving. That's how we do the manifesting path, right? All of us, it's like learning to receive. It's not chasing after things.
Yeah.
But it also means an intuition. It's when somebody is wanting to receive the intuition, that's when you deliver the intuition. You just don't go around telling people intuitively, hey, you need to be changing your whole fucking life right now, and you need to be doing this, and fucking, I already know fucking that you're not fucking washing your dishes right.
Yeah.
You know, I already know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, you know, this card also is one that's okay with watching things come in and come out.
Yeah.
And being like, no, that wasn't necessary in my life, so it's okay. So it has no problem putting up a boundary of like, I don't need this emotionally. It's okay. I'm gracious that you delivered this to me, but doesn't feel so it's not desperate, you know, because I feel like that desperation mixed with intuition is a crappy and disgusting and horrible combo.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a desperate place, your intuition will be whatever it wants it to be.
Yeah.
Whatever it wants it to be. And that's really not even intuition. It's just you creating your own emotional belief construct. And then that's actually how this matrix pretty much gets so many people trapped, is the manifestation of so much in the collective creating a desperate aspect that's all not really happening. Like whether it was a pandemic or everything we're seeing in the news and the media for all these years and decades and fucking even millennia of just all the information. It's how people react to these things, and then how they create with their energy emotionally a frequency that creates that trap or creates that desperation or creates that normalcy. Like, it's normal to make just this much a year, and it's normal that, look at the way the world is right now, so it's okay for me to, you know, be just okay. Which that's okay too. It's okay to be okay. But like, I feel like sometimes in life there's moments where we try to make it to where we don't want to do the work. So, you know, the King of Cups is willing to do the work. It's willing to, if it's a real hard emotion to deal with, it knows how to deal with it instead of scapegoat it, you know? Because I feel like there's no scapegoating to stay in a good emotional place. Like, there's no, I've done the work, right? The worst thing I see in the spiritual community is like, you still have work to do. It's like, we all do.
Yeah.
Like, who the fuck said I was done with the work?
Right.
In any way, whether it's spiritual work or intuitional work or astrology or tarot or shadow work or life work or relationship work, or all of it is fucking a constant. That's the constant, is the constant evolution of it. So anybody claiming that they've made it to enlightenment only,
Right.
especially when they're the one trying to tell you that you haven't made it.
Right.
It's like, where are you at? Is the question, because it's definitely not anywhere that anybody wants to be.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. It reminded me yesterday. I was, you know how every morning when you open up Facebook, your memories pop up. Well, this memory popped up from a year ago. And by the way, I'm horrible at reading comments on Facebook. Like I rarely ever read them. And it was a memory. I made a reel where I was playing a song and I was just dancing to it. Having a good time, happy as fuck. You know what I'm saying? Dancing to it. You know, I like doing that shit. And I read a comment from somebody who commented it a year ago and I never saw it. And it's so funny because what she said was, I hope you watch this 10 times and go look in the mirror. I see a slow landslide. And her name was Level Up, Be Happy. And I went to click on it and she had blocked me. And I'm like, level up, be happy? Dude, I'm happy as fuck.
Right.
You need to level up and be happy. If that's where you're sitting here looking at Facebook, watching somebody dancing, having a good time, being happy, until I see a slow landslide. You know, that's the epitome of some of this stupid shit that's happening in the spiritual community. And how do we help people get out of that?
You know, the social media aspect of it to me is, honestly, I think they need to get true therapy. I think there needs to be special psychologists built for social media, people that they want to feel, they don't want to do the work to create their own vision, their own persona, their own, you know, work to help people. So they feel like it's a delusion of creating, like, I'm helping somebody I don't like by putting this feeling that I'm the all-knowing person.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use the opposite of how we help people, which is I'm going to destroy this person's good vibe. I'm going to make them feel like you're going to have a landslide and you're going to fall down and you're going to have the worst life and it's going to go to hell. Like, that's just not
giving unsolicited advice.
Correct. And with no advice of how to get out of that either. But sometimes delusional people do the same thing, like try to give you, like, you need to be doing this, and because you're having this, and here's my solution.
Yeah.
So it's like attention. But I feel like unless that person really, one, is connected to in your life, they're doing the work, and there's always a proper reach out. Like, you don't reach out to somebody being like, you need help. I can help you.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to collab. Let's collab. But the worst is when there's people out there that want to collab and that you have the emotional energy to be like, you know what, either it's time or there's not enough room in your life at the moment, or it's just not the right moment for you that they don't know, right? You could be going through something that you're working on, your own inner self. And when people get rejected, that's where I've seen the worst of this. It's like
really?
in this community, when, God, you never give me any fucking time. I want to collab. You don't see me for how I am.
Wow.
Like,
I haven't experienced that.
it's just like, it'll happen when it's naturally meant to happen, when we're on the same frequency match. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm not going to fucking die in regret.
I don't think I've experienced that.
Oh yeah. Those are the ones that come the hardest because it's the ones that are the nicest. And then they come back with, gosh, you didn't give them enough attention through a fucking chat or anything, and fucking just unleash.
Wow. I mean, I get lots of offers, you know, people, lots of invites to be on podcasts, lots of, you know, I've had lots of people ask me to collab with them, but I'll just ignore them. If I don't have time or I don't feel like it, or for whatever reason, maybe I'll go check them out and they just got shady energy, and I can tell. It's usually, most of the time, honestly, what I've seen, when people want to collab, they have ulterior motives. Usually their motive is, you have a big audience and I want you to put my name out there.
Right.
That's usually what it is most of the time. Like if I want to collab with you, if I see that you got good energy, I don't care if you have a big audience or a tiny audience. If our energy matches, fucking let's collab, let's do something, we can build something together. Most of the people, I don't think I've ever had somebody, you know, who's where I'm at come to me and say, let's collab because I like your energy. It's always people that want to use you just to get their name out there. So I'll ignore it a lot of times. There's been a couple of people I've collabed with, you know, and even they'll have tiny little channels. I don't need to use you to get my name out there. That's not what this is about.
No.
Like I don't care if you have a 200 subscriber channel. If you got good energy and I can see you're doing the work, yeah, let's do something. I'll help give you a kickstart out there. But from what I've seen, I don't think a lot of people have those intentions. Would you agree with that?
I think some do, and those are the ones that don't react in a negative way. That's the way you know.
Yeah.
But I think the ones that get all crazy and react in a negative way, it's like, sorry, I'm not your savior.
Yeah.
Nobody's your savior. And I think that's the hard part is the King of Cups doesn't visualize things that don't make sense, which I think it happens more than not, but more people do visualize things that just won't make sense in reality. They're like jumping too many levels and missing the levels to get where they need to go. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's like, well, this person will save me. And then they create a story like they'll make a video with me, they'll put it out, and then I'll get a lot of attention, and then I'll sell a bunch of readings.
Yeah.
Yet they don't have their readings figured out.
Yeah.
Yet they don't have a platform yet to figure out. That they're not comfortable enough yet on camera. They don't even have a microphone except their laptop mic, and then it's going to sound like shit. Mm-hmm. You know, or they don't even know how to use a webcam.
Yeah.
You know, and like, so they miss all the little steps.
Yeah.
Where the King of Cups is like willing to just in life has reached a place of like, I'll continue on the vision. And the things that it seems like in life, because to go back to your collab thing, it looks like it's random, the real things that come together, but it's not, you know? And it's not like people were seeking it, like running after it. It just like, it looks like two random universal aspects that just randomly come together and, oh shit, this is what seems to work. But then when you're conscious enough, that King of Cups is willing to see all the steps of where its own path was, another person's path, and then only choosing people that understand that same, oh, that's why that fucking shit happened.
Yeah.
And that's where I see the best collabs that have ever happened in my life, where they weren't being seeked. There was nobody begging. When you get to beggar status, you know, or you get to the opposite of begging, where you're forcing or demanding, like you brought up earlier, that this card can bring in the reversed. It's like, whew, that's just where it's hard to, you know what? That's what they want, is to take your energy. So it's so you have to learn. King of Cups is like, I'm not going to give this person any of my energy. That's what they want. They want to get a rouse out of me.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, that's my hardest thing. I'd say King of Cups is my hardest thing when it comes to not responding to people's shit that just want to take my energy.
Yeah.
Away from me. That's my weak
really?
spot. That's why I will call people out in chats. I will, you know, like.
That's funny.
That's my one spot that just is like, I just, you know, it's kind of like, here, hold the baby, you know?
Yeah. It always fascinates me how there are, me and you being Aquarius and Leo mirror each other and can be opposite in many, many ways. And I'm the opposite. You know what my favorite thing to do is? I get high. I ain't gonna lie, I get high on it. Ignoring the shit out of you and pretending you don't exist. And it makes me happy. So if I see a troll or a hate, you know, all they're trying to do is get you to say their name. These people who write these hit pieces and they leave shitty comments and then they make these shitty degrading videos about you, all they're trying to do is get you to call them out in a video. They're so starved for attention. I just want to get some popular person to talk about me. That'll make me feel better. Nothing makes me feel better than ignoring your existence and getting on camera and smiling like a motherfucker. Like I don't give two fucks. I get high on it. Like I will do, like, if I'm tired and groggy and lazy and bored and I see a big 2-paragraph long trolling hater message, somebody, I'm going to make him rethink his whole life and quit his career with this comment. I'm going to block you silently because, you know, my following doesn't need that shitty energy in the comment thread. But then I'm going to get on and I'm going to smile and I'm going to laugh because I know you're watching and you're so mad that you throwing shit at me had no effect on me whatsoever. So I'm kind of the opposite like that. I love ignoring people who are trying to get a rise out of me, you know?
And you're right about that opposites Leo Aquarius, because Leo, maybe it's the drama, like I want to have the last word, motherfucker.
Oh.
You know, like because it's Leos were easy to get. We feel like, and it's so sad, but you know, if you, in astrology we use like Leo rules the king, right? So it's like this energy of like, if I'm walking out of my castle and that fucking one person threw lettuce at me and went, boo, you fucking asshole, and I knew that I just handed gold out to them last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, get me off this damn horse right now. And let me pick that fucking cabbage back up and fucking throw it back in your face and throw you in the Cabbage Patch Kids fucking world. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And like that's just who I am, and that's a hard. I'm willing to be truly vulnerable and be like, that is my fucking. It's so hard for me to just turn off even the negative shit. It's hard. It's fucking very hard for me to do that.
Well, yeah. I mean, fire, you have to think fire is that intense feeling. Like in astrology, the way I look at it, well, not astrology like what you do, but astrological energies, the energies of astrology. We have two groups of thinkers and two groups of feelers. The air signs and the earth signs are the thinkers, and the fire signs and the water signs are the feelers. And with that fire, it's that intense passion, you know? And with air, it's like thinking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think there's also that humor with it. Like, to me, I think that's just like, you just threw a piece of lettuce at me. Let me show you how to throw a piece of lettuce at somebody. And because it's you that threw it at me, I'm going to throw it back at you.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, you think you threw a fucking cabbage at me?
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn you into a Cabbage Patch Kid, you know, like fucking, and you'll be in the trash. And so like, you know, but I think I've gotten better, but you know, it's still like a thing. And I think also the people look at me like as, well, like I like the Leo King because he's fucking real fully, right? So it's like, it's true, even to the point where I'm at my detriment at spots.
Yeah.
And so like knowing when to find that's shaky grounds, which is definitely not King of Cups.
Yeah. Well,
You know, like where I'm like, all right, people have issues. I'm going to confront them, and I'm going to hold my boundary of where I feel like, no, this is not being looked at correctly. No, I did not say that. This is what I said.
yeah.
And then, you know, like be the one who's trying to push people back into the boundary lines opposed to going into fucking crazy town.
Yeah, I think like with my perspective, I don't know, because I do understand what you mean there. But I think my thing is, I feel like if I react to something, they've won. It doesn't matter what I say, because they're trying to get a reaction out of me. They're trying to piss me off. They desperately want me to say their name. And if I come down at them, if I respond to them, what I picture in my mind is they're like, yes, he acknowledged me. Yes. And they won. You ain't going to win with me. I will not acknowledge your existence. You are invisible. You don't exist. You're invisible. And to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is my perception, is that nothing pisses off a toxic person who's starved for attention more than being ignored. So that's me winning, ignoring you and proving that you have no power over me. That's what makes me feel like I've won.
That's traditional Aquarius right there. Fucking, everybody wants to know about Aquarius? Just take from Rich Lopp right there. That's the mastery of Aquarius, though, is knowing how to put that disconnect, because it's not worth it. It's also not moving anything forward. It's going backwards. Aquarius like to move forwards. And so like that's and like where the world's going with Pluto going to be in Aquarius for the next 19 years, starting in 2024. It's like, wow, this is going to be a fucking hard one. Pluto's all about that obsessive need to attach, want to put everything emotionally in. And then Aquarius is so, well, okay, I want to connect only to the thing that's uniquely mixed right with me energetically. But then to disconnect the world's going to have to learn how to disconnect in the right areas, and that's going to be very difficult.
But there are some times too that I wonder if my approach is wrong, because like maybe there's some people that need to hear what fucking time it is, that need to be told, but I'm like, but I just have this battle in my head. It's like, no, I feel like if I respond to you, you've won the battle. So I don't know. Sometimes I have this battle in my head wondering if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing, So I don't know.
I don't think there is no right or wrong way. I think it's both. But I think with where we're at now, I think it's a combo of both. Knowing when to respond and knowing when it's completely just not even worth it at all. Because that's going to be really weird. Pluto and Aquarius is it's kind of like one of those weird dichotomies. The universe already is a dichotomy that we can't understand at this moment with the way things are being so weird. But when Pluto's in Aquarius, Pluto is so opposite. It's the ruler of Scorpio. So it's like putting Scorpio into Aquarius. Like Scorpio's like, I will fucking lay next to you for the rest of my life and die. You know what I mean? And we will share blood and our bones will fall on top of each other. Where Aquarius is like, it's been 5 minutes, like, let me get my space in the bed and I'm going to go take a walk outside and, okay, right? So it's like mixing Pluto into Aquarius. It's just like the fucking dichotomy of all dichotomies in the universe. It's like the whole world's going to be going through this, like, I'm all the way in, but I'm not all the way in. And then the areas where we really want to connect to, it feels like, why is that other side not feeling the same? Which is, if you kind of look at the world, because it dipped in there this year, more of us in politics are on the same page. But if we come from one side or the other side, that's always the disconnect. When really, if we got rid of those things, 99% of us all agree on the same things,
Yeah.
And then so it's like, then people get stuck in why isn't that side understanding this side? And why isn't that side understanding this side? It's like, why don't we get rid of sides and fucking find the common ground that we're all connecting with? That's going to be Pluto and Aquarius, you know? And so, I mean, that's a good thing, but also at the same time, it's going to come with extremes of that where people get attached to things that don't even make sense vibrationally at all and are still trying to go from that vibrational state and force that.
Yeah.
Because that's where Scorpio's energy can get beyond too much to where it's fully lost, even though this card represents Scorpio.
Yeah, but that would be more reverse though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, an unhealthy Scorpio energy is going to be where it can't let go.
Yeah.
Period. Like it will not emotionally let go.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I cannot even stand to see you walk without my hand holding your hand, let alone see you write a comment on somebody else's Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, that's the dark side of fucking Scorpio.
Yeah.
Like, I saw you fucking like that fucking picture. You know what I mean? That's all Scorpio shit. King Cups is that way. It's a Scorpio card. That's just weird. But it's like, it's one where it's like, no, I'm cool. I already know. Because this is a confident person. It's like how you and I are in healthy relationships. It's like, I don't need to go through my girl's phone. I don't need to, if I see her like a picture of somebody and it happens to be something I follow, or maybe if I didn't follow, I would not shit a brick. I'd just be like, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I already know we have our emotional connection. That's healthy Scorpio energy, trust. But when there's zero trust, holy fuck. That's where people lose their fucking gourd. Like emotion. That's why King of Cups reversed to me is like that fucking, like you said, there's the manipulative side, which is ironically Scorpio too on the dark side. But the other side is like, I cannot have without this emotion. I would rather die.
Yeah.
When you're already dying because you're not getting it, like, and I feel like that's like the worst thing in the world is the obsessive emotional attachment to things to where if I don't get this, then it's not worth living.
Yeah.
And like that's a hard place for some people in life.
Yeah, and that trust has to be there. And it's for example, every time we upgrade phones, without me even saying anything, the first thing my wife does is hands me her phone and says, "Here, scan your face into my phone." Why? Because you always forget, because she has a passcode on it. Because I always have to tell you the passcode and you always forget it. You're always having to ask me the passcode. So here, you just scan because you can scan more than one face into it. And every time I'm like, damn, That's fucking trust. I don't have a passcode on my phone. So at any given time, be like, babe, I left my phone in the kitchen. Can I see your phone real quick? Here. Bam. No questions, no nothing, no, I have absolutely nothing to hide on my phone. She has nothing to hide on her phone. There's no, that trust that so many relationships don't have. And people don't realize that trust not being there, like what you were just talking about, will, not might, it will lead to the demise of the connection. It will.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. It's like, a good example is like, I think of it in like more basic relationship things. It's like, hey, we're ordering from DoorDash. What do you want? Here's my phone, babe.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you're really doing something shady, you would, I'm going to tell this all ladies out there, or even guys, if your partner ordering a dinner can't hand you the phone, goes, no, here, I'll show you it, instead of like, here's my phone.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Already there's something not right there.
Yeah.
There's no excuse on that part. Mm-hmm. Same thing with Sophia. It's just like, she's like, where's my phone? Here it is, babe. Whatever. There's no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing over there? People are weird, though. People are weird.
Yeah.
They'll think, and that's, you can't, like, at the beginning of this, you can't act outside emotionally one way and be feeling another way on the inside. It's gonna be felt really extreme. And I think that's what makes it hard, whether you're a guy or girl. Like, you could be with somebody as a friend, a lover, somebody that you're dating. I think it's always more in the dating realm, though, is like, you're like, why is this not clicking? Why is this not working? But like, you can feel right away. It's like, oh, and then you always find out later, like, they were dating 3 other people, and one of them was their ex that they hadn't gotten over and they were still living with the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay. Like,
or I'll even take it a step further than that. I've been telling my clients this a lot. Well, not my clients. I've been telling my audience this a lot, because one of the things that has been coming out a lot in advice, 7 of Cups reverse. No other love options. Like, don't even be thinking about it. People enter into new relationships and they're meeting this new person, they're connecting with them, they're getting to know them, but in the back of their mind, they have all these other backup options. I will even take it that far. Not only don't be dating other people, but don't even be thinking about other people. Don't be, because people will come to me and they'll ask me, who is my person? This person or this person? I don't even need a tarot card to tell you it's neither of them.
Yep.
Because if this person was your person, you wouldn't even be asking me about this person.
Yep.
So when you go into a relationship thinking, okay, I'm going to see how it works with this person. If not them, I have this person, and then I have that one, and then maybe this one folded up in my back pocket. It's going to fail. You're already telling the universe, this is not my person. I don't trust this connection. Because if the universe brought you your divine partner that it picked out for you, do you believe that you would even be thinking about anybody else? Just the simple fact that you're even thinking about anybody else tells you right off the rip, this is going to fail. I'll take it that far.
Oh, I was going to say, well, King Cups, he's holding one cup, and the other cup is the only cup that's like into a staff, like a magician's wand or a place of authority. He's only focused on his own emotional self, not some 7 of Cups idealistic idea of all these things or people, let's say, that are out there that could be, and you don't even know where they're at in their situation. You don't even know. That's so funny. It's like, there's always memes out there like, yeah, your future husband or wife is fucking someone right now. You know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, your backdrop of who you think could be, you don't even know. They could be with someone else right now. They could be falling in love in this moment. Like, you don't know. So if you're in that space, you're already manifesting against yourself.
Yeah.
And always, your real divine partner comes when you're not in a relationship, you're not dating, and you're not thinking about anybody, and you've already gone through those scenarios like, yeah, it's not really going anywhere, it's not happening, and I'm just focusing on me and my own emotional happiness in my life, my own place, my own space. Guess what? Boom!
Yeah.
That makes you the most attractive universal partner in the fucking market. And the other person has to be in that same space too.
Yeah, well, not only that the reason being, if you want to look at that from an energetic perspective, is that when you're living that life and you're on that frequency, you are embodying the whole frequency that you were looking for to begin with. Because what you're looking for is to feel whole, fulfilled, and complete. Yeah. You're looking to not feel lonely. You're looking to feel content. And so, again, you have to match the frequency first before you attract whatever it is that you're wanting. So when you're in that space that you just talked about, you're on the frequency of being whole, fulfilled, complete, and content. So that's the reason why everybody that I know who is currently with their person met them when they weren't looking for a relationship.
Yep.
They weren't looking for a relationship because for whatever reason, they started filling that void themselves. They were doing their own thing. I got my own life going on. I've got this going on. I'm not thinking about that. So that's the frequency you were looking for. The problem is you thought a person being in your life was going to create that feeling for you when you had to match that frequency first in order to attract them in. And when, like you said, the other person has to be in that frequency too. When you're a frequency match, they will be.
Yeah, and that's funny because 9 of Cups goes with that, but the King of Cups, it's all the cups in one place. And so the King of Cups has also experienced a 10 of Cups in its life. It's experienced everything to where it's okay with any color that comes out of the Crayola box to color with.
Yeah.
It's not just looking for this color or that color or this situation or that situation. It's not nitpicking on the emotional frontier that we live our lives and our spiritual lives in. It's adaptable. It's can hold the energy when it needs to. It knows when to hold, when to not, when to adapt, when not, when to put boundaries up, when not to, when to love, when not, when to, it's not tripping on anything. It's just like, oh yeah, this is the moment where, yeah, okay. It's not crying over spilled milk. It's not fucking having a heart attack if they don't put ketchup in the fucking bag. It's not fucking free. It's like, I have ketchup here, or I'll get ketchup. Or it's even smart enough to prepare to have ketchup packets in the fucking place from the last time that they overgave ketchup. Like it's like King of Cups is that just, it's always the one that shows up like, what's the big deal going on here? Is that a big deal? Oh, well, go in the kitchen and get that. And
Yeah.
up. If you need me, I'll be back upstairs doing my own emotional thing that's fulfilling me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, when you get to that space in your life, I feel like that's where then mastery really starts to become not only just a thing, but fun.
Mm-hmm.
Then you start really getting to manifest in this life. And I think that, there's people that are there and that are doing it. And there's people that are not. I don't think that it's something that you also hold on to. I think that right when you become masterful and you start having fun, then it's like you kind of start back on a new trail, and then you get back to having to be a rookie again,
Oh, yeah.
And then you go back up the trail again. I mean, but it's a different trail. But so it's like, it's never I think that's the problem in the spiritual community, is this idea that you're just always on the upstead, on the same path for life. And then it's like, that'd be boring.
Yeah.
If anything in life, the older we get, more people are trying to now live forever and shit, which I think is stupid. I wouldn't want to live forever. But it's like, I'd get bored playing the same game all the time unless I maybe try a different role. Maybe I'll try to coach the team. Maybe I'll try to do this. Maybe I'll try to do that. And so you have to get out of your own way.
Yeah, I think, well, maybe if we can successfully raise the vibrations of the planet fast enough to where we can make it into the mid to even upper end of 4D, maybe it would be fun to live much longer then. I'm going to tell you, if we could do this, if it was possible, which right now it's not really looking like it's happening, but if it was possible for us to awaken enough people on the planet like this year or next year, and we could really, because right now we're still at the lower end of 4D, density wise. If we could really start getting it up there to like upper end 4D, closer to 5D, we could live 500, 1,000 years easily. And it would be nothing. It would be a blip. And it would get to the point to where death wouldn't even be death anymore. You could just literally say, all right, I'm ready to go, and just exit out of this avatar and be a light body and shed that avatar. And, that would be so fucking amazing. That is the reason why I do what I do, because that's what we're moving towards. That's where Earth is going right now during this shift. It's just that it's happening so damn slow right now. We may not get to see it in our lifetimes, but that's
maybe that's the King of Cups is okay with not being able to see it because it's willing to pass the baton or open the door for another generation or for our own kids or for, King of Cups is not going to lose it if it doesn't get to a certain space. but it's going to put everything it has and know that it did everything possible without being forceful or neurotic about it, like. And also, I think when it comes to spiritual work, the King of Cups puts that mission first.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a card that maybe isn't talked about that way, but it's like the emotional is reacting the most to the mission, not the matrix.
Yeah.
It's not letting the matrix trip it up. Like I put a picture up today, Russia this weekend just said that America has declared war on us by supporting Ukraine. And so Russia, we look at it as America's at war with us now, right? So that's pretty gnarly. That's like World War III shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, told you it was coming. But then on the second picture, I put a picture of Aurora this weekend sticking out her tongue. Like, I'm not going to lose myself over the Matrix.
I don't think Vladimir Putin's that stupid, but yeah.
Yeah, as defense secretary put it out, right?
Yeah.
It's calling bluffs.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, if you think about it, Russia's kind of in that King of Cups space where it's like, what's happening? And it's not like they made a threat to us or that they're going to kill us.
Yeah.
But they're kind of calling the bluff. Like, why are people not reporting on what's really happening here?
Mm-hmm.
And seeing what the other side's going to do, which I'm sorry to say, but Joe Biden is no King of Cups. Like, I don't even think he knows what a cup is, like except the cup that he pees in every day.
He's a page of cups.
Yeah. Not even. Geez, I don't even know what he would be. A page of cups reversed.
Yeah.
Page of swords reversed.
Yeah.
With a hermit reversed. Falling down the mountain with a tower. But, like that's the interesting part is not letting the matrix be your emotional guide, but letting the divine and the eternal be your emotional guide.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big switch, but I feel like that's what the awakening experience is. It truly is in like a kind of like a true format understanding is like the foundation upon which you're living your life is no longer based upon this matrix that's programmed, but off the spiritual mission. And when you do that, you already have entered into a world of not only just change in life and beauty and true harmonizing with the frequencies in yourself and the universe, but also the other things that can manifest from that. But you can't do that when you're in the matrix. And I think that's one of the hard problems. Like we were talking this weekend at our event, like about like whether it was The Secret, the book, right? It's like they gave people a matrix platform to do the manifestation. And I think that's the problem is there's no mission oriented element emotionally. So if your emotions don't have a mission for a divine cause and a divine purpose or a spiritual purpose, what's going to really manifest? Stuff.
Yeah.
But those people, those rich dudes on the beach that are just sitting there still trying to catcall at fucking some young chick. I just heard from the T-Mobile. I was on T-Mobile support today, right? Because I pre-ordered the new iPhone and then the order, because there were so many, I signed the paperwork, everything, it didn't go through. So he was like, yeah, there was a lot of problems with it. Do you mind standing on the phone with me and reordering it? I'm like, no problem. I'm like, I understand. There's 5 planets retrograde. And he was like, what? I'm like, 5 planets retrograde. He goes, oh, I've kind of heard about that stuff, but okay, that makes sense. And then we talked for the 20 minutes while I was in traffic here. And he was super cool. We talked about life, and then we talked about the government and the weird shit going on. He was totally on the same fucking page. It was crazy, right? And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So we order it, and he goes, I just want to thank you for not losing it on me. Because it's just nonstop, dude. People just are freaking the fuck out if we don't provide what they want, which is impossible to provide usually. But in your case, we fucked up. It was a system error. And you just were cool. And I just want to thank you. And I'm like, no problem. And he's like, and then we were talking about commercials. So this is very matrixy. He's like, I'm watching a football game because he works at home. Like a lot of these people now, they're not at a call center anymore, to deal with the actual customers with a real problem. They're at their house. So he's watching football and then he mutes it on commercials. Because I can't believe these commercials these days. They're fucking just atrocious. What they're trying to get people to fucking look like, be like, act like, and buy.
Oh, yeah.
So it was interesting to hear the T-Mobile, customer guy being super in his awakening.
Yeah.
And it's a good sign.
That is a very good
fucking
sign.
great sign.
Yeah.
We left the call like genuinely like, fucking, I hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, and like, I didn't think it was a problem because I was just like, if I'm going to get that phone, it'll come whenever it fucking does. And of course, they're sending it to me overnight for free because of the issue. And I didn't even expect that or even think about that. But, you know, it's like, there it is, coming from a spiritual foundation, not flipping the fuck out. King of Cups, like, where's my fucking order? You know, like, it didn't fucking happen. Mm-hmm. It's like, I wonder what if I would have acted like that, what would have happened?
I mean, that right there that's the epitome of light work. That's light work. I mean, I'm not saying that you know, doing this kind of work right here isn't, but that right there, having a little interaction with somebody like that, that's light work.
That's true.
That's the epitome of doing the actual
You
work.
want to switch the cam?
Anyway, yeah, that's light work. I mean, people come to me all the time and they ask me, what am I supposed to do? Like there's this big grandiose mission that they're supposed to do. I think people are still kind of wrapped up in the whole Matrix thing of I have to be famous and I have to help hundreds of thousands of people heal and this and that. No, all it is that one little person. That one little person. And you don't go like what we were talking about earlier. We don't go with unsolicited advice. You don't go up to people that you think need help or whatever the case may be. Like the universe will bring you the people that need to hear what you have to say. Guarantee you drastically altered the trajectory of that dude's belief system just with that conversation. Guarantee it.
Yeah, and also, but also on, it was like an interesting reflection he brought me just about like how people react, and he was thanking me for not reacting too much, and it was weird because last week we had so much going here at High Vibe with the event, and then of course another situation that, you know, we all are working our hardest to really up level the whole spiritual community as a whole, and so at High Vibe there was a couple shows I didn't do on time, and so people were really upset. And I just was honest. I was like, there's nothing malicious going on. I told everybody, I'm sorry, I'm adjusting times and making it happen and doing all this stuff. And so the same way that maybe, it's not like I can force people to act the way I want them to, but it's just like, I got put in a position where, trust me, it was kind of like, shit, you fucking, I ordered on the 17th. Today's the 25th. It's like, it's been a week and there's no order number being charged, all this crazy shit. And instead of freaking out, I just was like, no problem. He's like, I have to get on I could hear him typing. I have to get on with the main management for them to get eyes on this. I see you already signed the documents. Can you just stay on the line with me for 10 minutes? So that's where we started talking about all that shit. And then it all worked itself out. But I feel like when people just start flipping out now about one thing doesn't go the way they want or the expectations they have. And that's the thing when you were bringing up when you help people spiritually, the people that are there for you, yes, that are meant to hear your message will come to you, but that also means they won't stay forever. You have to like learn that message too. Like you can't, it's already hard enough for me to look at like data or analytics and be like, I can't believe we lost 5,000 subscribers in April 2021 because I was telling people that the shot wasn't worth it because it's not going to work. It's not going to, they're going to, I literally said, they're going to come back and say, sorry, doesn't protect you, doesn't save you, doesn't, yeah, and they were telling you that you won't get it. You won't get COVID. You won't get this. You won't get that. To lose all those paying subscribers and to lose so many subscribers here on YouTube because of all that, I've finally come to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm cool with it now. Like, you know what? People at some point had to realize, oh, I don't like to hear what he has to say or learn from it. That crossed the bridge for them. That's fine. I don't need some reformation by everybody fucking coming back or something. Yeah. You know, but that's a hard thing to learn.
Well, there's one thing that I notice, like on my channel, every time, if I look at the numbers, every time I put up a video on my channel, my subscriber number drops off like 50, and then it goes up like 500. So like 50 people unsubscribe, then 500 people, new people subscribe every time. So, like, the way I look at it is, oh, okay, well, you heard everything that you needed to hear. I know I planted a seed in your mind. You probably don't know it. I guarantee you don't know it, but I know I planted a seed in your mind. It's going to bloom one day. You may not even realize that it bloomed from me, but it'll bloom one day. But as far as all the subscribers you lost over talking about the shot, have you wondered how many of them are still alive?
No. It's actually the first time anybody's asked me that.
Trippy thought.
I'd like to think that they're all alive because they're all spiritual people that I believe no matter whether people got it or not, that if they're spiritually in alignment, frequency-wise in their life, that they're okay.
Hopefully.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's my true belief, and I've always said that belief. But I don't know.
One thing I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but ever since the clock struck 2020, literally, when I go look back from 2020 to now, more people I know have died since 2020 than my whole life.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm not even talking about just the vaccine and shit, just in general.
Yeah.
And I think that it has to do with like the timelines that we're making. Like there's some people who came here to play up the last little bit of 3D they could possibly play, and they were just out of the game altogether. But have you noticed that? Man, I could probably sit and count 20 or 30 people I know from my past that have died since 2020. It's insane. It blows my mind every time. I'm like, good God. They just didn't want to experience the new timeline, I guess. I don't know.
And that's what was weird about 2020 was it was in Capricorn, which was time, and all the major conjunctions there of the longest two planets to conjunct, which are Saturn and Pluto, and for them to fucking do it with the sun on the exact day and all that shit, January 12th, 2020, and like that would have been the opening and the true like rift in the time continuum of the universal dimensional shift. So yeah, it 100% astrologically happened, and we've been feeling what Dolores Cannon spoke about, the splitting of the earth since 2012, but that real huge, I would say rift and pull away was 2020, and then the last 3.5 years now have been just getting more and more where it feels like it's farther away than ever. It's not like I feel like timelines just shift dramatically.
No.
It's one that if you look, it's almost like you don't even recognize, you can't see it anymore. It's like driving on a road and, it looked like you were going into this valley, and then you've left the valley and you're looking behind you, and it doesn't even look like a valley anymore. It's so far away.
Yeah, the example I always give is it's like driving from coast to coast in the U.S. If you start, I don't know if you've ever done this.
I've done that, like eight times now.
Yeah, if you start on the East Coast, grass and trees and grass and trees and trees and grass and grass and trees. And then at some point, desert and mountains. But you can't really put a finger on exactly when it happened.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. That's the way I look at it. It's a gradual transition.
Yeah, usually Nebraska to Colorado or Louisiana to Houston, Texas.
Yeah, but it's not
but
like
after even in Houston, Texas, it feels the same as Louisiana. It's once you get out of Houston and like 100 miles west of Houston, then it starts going, oh, okay, wait a second.
Yeah, but you notice
you don't know,
It's not like a definitive line.
Yeah.
That it's like the grass and trees stop on this line right here, and it's desert on the other side of the line. It's a gradual. So that's the way I look at timelines and vibrational shifts. I see that it's happened, but I can't put a finger on the exact point when it happened because it was gradual.
Right. Or if you go up north, like once you get in the California forests, which are the biggest trees in the world, the redwoods, and then you start going into Oregon, you start getting lost. And if you were to take that route and go all the way up into Idaho and go up into Montana, you would just be like, what state am I in at this point?
Yeah.
Like,
it's vast.
It's vast. But that you could, if you really were to pay attention, you would be able to see. But it's still, unless they had the signs up, but if they didn't have the signs up, if you're Lewis and Clark, those two motherfuckers... Again, they're recording. Look at that. What's that thing? And they're drawing it down. I feel like that's what we're doing in the awakening experience of all of us. Is as we go through this new timeline, we're all kind of recording it and trying to share with each other. Like, have you been feeling this? Or look at this, or what? Like that's what it's like. I feel like we're all Lewis and Clark, fucking going on the expedition west, and seeing what the fuck this is like, and that new timeline has so much unknown and unfelt that we still. I've done so much channeling that I told people before I kind of took a break here because I got told to from my guides, but it was like I was telling them as we got to this new timeline that they already had set a locker there with all the tools they needed and how to bring that back into this matrix. And also that there was a timeline shift to where the dark basically, you know, wasn't allowing any of the higher frequency in. It's like, so we're already in the new timeline, but that you can't go try and save somebody alone. You need a team. It's like if you think of the Matrix too, right? Like they went in as a team. Even if they went after one person, it would be crazy to just try and go save the world yourself or save even one person yourself. Like,
Wow, yeah, I didn't think
it's
about
always
that.
and that's what I think the light worker in the new timeline is we do things together. We don't do things alone, like as far as like saving or change or helping go back into the old timelines to get people out. You just don't do that alone.
That makes sense.
You know,
I didn't even think about it that way because I can remember, you know, before I came here and started working with you guys, and I would try to put messages out there specifically, and it just seemed like it was so hard. It almost kind of felt like there was a little bit of energetic resistance, and it was so draining. And I'm not talking about feedback or anything like that. I'm not talking about the response I would get, but just energetically in general. It felt like I don't even know how to put words to it. It's so funny. But now coming and working with a team, it really feels much more fulfilling. And for some reason, I can't even put words behind how it feels like we're doing a better job.
Yeah.
Like we're different pieces to a puzzle. I put forth my perspective. I'm just one human, but you put forth yours. You're just one human, and all the other people, we're all pieces to a puzzle that can, you know, accomplish a greater mission.
Yeah, if like we were building Egypt back before it was built. It's like we're just at the beginning of like the idea for one of the first pyramids or a sphinx or what to put by the Nile or what, you know, and like it's just the beginning. It's just like you start to be like, oh shit, what if we all start coming together and making shit happen? You know, you really make something great. But I think that's hard. You're right. I think you call it like there's a natural, I forgot what you call it when there's a natural pushback on something energetically.
Yeah.
Anything that really feels just like in this work, just to self-gratify yourself or something doesn't really work anymore.
Yeah, no. And you, again, you have to talk about the energy that you feel. I mentioned this during our event, on the episode on our event, how I was talking to a client who came to me for a reading and is trying to get into YouTube tarot, but said that she's experiencing resistance because of all the haters. And I'm like, that's not resistance. That's not the resistance I'm talking about. You have to ignore that shit. Because if you step into this line of work and you're going to be a light worker, you're going to have haters. The matrix is going to attack you. The dark is going to attack you. If you can't handle that, then you have no business in this line of work. Yeah. But what you're saying, though, that resistance, you feel it energetically. Even if you don't read your comments, I'm not talking about feedback from haters and idiots and whatnot. Just energetically, whenever you're trying to do something and you feel the pushback. Like for example, perfect example, the original Awakening Experience, my podcast on my secondary channel. You know, that kind of got up and rolling for a little bit, and then I just felt that it almost kind of felt like a car running out of gas. And it came to a stop, and then the energy just wasn't there, and it came to a stop. And and I was like, okay, I don't know what the hell the point of that was. I don't know why I felt called to do that, but I'm feeling the energetic resistance. It's time to exit this vehicle. Now it makes sense why I was supposed to do that. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then it feels like for this show now.
Yeah.
This week on the Equinox event, it was like we tried a little bit of nitro in the fucking car, and it was like, oh yeah, no, this like it ain't gonna be this format much longer. You know what I mean? Talking about just the cards and going back and forth. There's like we tested a little nitro, and it was like, oh yeah. We could see where the evolution's going.
Oh yeah,
and it was like, and it was like so natural. So it's like, oh okay. And that was kind of, I mean, it wasn't our plan, but it was like, well, we'll just keep doing these cards till we find the next flow of where it's going. It's
I mean, I wouldn't mind if you want some week, if you want to say, well, fuck, let's just don't do a card. Let's just think of a topic. Yeah. Because none of this, for anybody watching, none of this is scripted, ever. Like, these conversations me and David sit here and have, the cameras may as well be off. I know. This is just me and you sitting and talking like we talk in the back room.
Exactly.
And we just get on here and it just flows. So, I mean, if I wouldn't be opposed if you said, I don't really feel like talking about a card today. Let's pick a topic. I'd be cool with that.
I'd be down. I mean, that's what this Friday night was. And it was like, we even sat there and told the audience there, we have no idea what's going to come out of this, but it was very deep into the spiritual mission, the light work, the shifting of the new earth. Mm-hmm. That was, and there was honestly, there was so much stuff said that I don't even remember all of it, but it was so fucking good that I was like, this is gold.
We got to get a guest on.
I know, that's true. And then that's the other part of this. So yeah, I'm totally down for that. So it's like, but I feel like that's where it is. If it doesn't feel, I think anything when you just do it like alone, it's not bad. There's certain things. There's the meat and potatoes of the work that you do as an individual that makes you great. It's not like Washington or the founding fathers. Like, Washington, sorry, like, you're fucking an amazing fucking general because of your experience in the British Army. So that's what, you know, and during the Revolution, he was the fucking commander of the fucking whole entire Continental Army. So it all went through him. Everybody has their parts, you know, but the collaboration of doing it together, that revolution, there's that part that feels so much better to do. It's not like you're going to start a revolutionary war and free the people all by yourself. Like, this is not going to happen.
Yeah, and like we know, because we've talked about, there are people in this line of work who have no interest in collaborating with anybody because they're not in it for the light work. They're in it for the popularity and for the money, and we've even heard people blatantly admit that they don't care about the work.
I know. But that's their choice, and that's their thing, and hopefully those people choose to find that. That's hard though, because I think you kind of do start this work in that space alone, and then it's like the hard part is to jump into the collaboration part, and that's where the work is. Yeah, and that's where, you know, you could see people kind of get stuck into that, and I think that's what's hard when people just, especially people who just show the cards only and not their face, and then I feel bad because they do great work, but it can only go so far. Yeah, you know, like. There's a lot that has to be shown and a lot that has to come together. And Pluto and Aquarius is all about full commitment to collaboration and working with the collective. Like, there's no escape from that. Yeah, and there's no payoff either.
Yeah, and it's hard too because a lot of people don't like to let go of the ego aspect of it. Yeah, because it's not about the ego. This isn't about me. This isn't my show. Right. I'm not the star of this show. It's about us. Right. Like if for whatever reason, like say for example, somebody was to come to me and say, "Hey, we really like you. You know, we want to take this show." Well, I'm taking David with me. It's not about me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a team. It's a team effort, and a lot of people don't want to shed that ego. They want it to be all about them. You know.
And that's the hard part, dude. And people, it doesn't matter if you're even in this line of work. Same thing goes if you're at a company. If you're going to build a great product or anything, you know, that's how Steve Jobs saved Apple. You know, it was like, who are the best people that work here? And like, let's all fucking work together and make this shit happen. And it's not my idea. He was the first CEO to like go do those presentations when he brought Apple back and be like, this is the whole team. I'm just the one up here talking about it, but... He talked about all the team, and it's like, that's the whole thing of where we can all go together or not, you know? And that's what's difficult. I see that in like the DJ world. Like, it's just my event, you know? And it's just like, well, no. All these people doing the event too are the event, you know? It's like, and that's why I love my buddy Danger House, because Don't Trip is all about... It's everybody's event, you know. It's everybody's collaboration and experience together, even if they're not. You're collabing whether you think you are or not. That's the whole spiritual experience. Is like, maybe people put too much on what the collaboration looks like, opposed to just collaborating. Participating with energy is just as powerful, because we're all just participating with our greatest energy. Yeah. However that comes out. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you got to put that ego aside. Because when you're collaborating, especially when you're reaching a big mass audience, I think people, they get this idea in their mind that they're going to someday make everybody love them. It's like, no, you're not. That's not even the point of it. if we're collaborating, there's going to be some people who prefer to hear your message and they don't really care for me. There's going to be some people who prefer to hear what I have to say and don't really care for you. But we come together and we put these puzzle pieces together as a whole because it's about the work. It's about the mission, the popularity and the money and all that stuff you want. That'll come later as a little side bonus. That's not the point of it. And, you know, I think we're really getting to a point where here it's probably gonna be a lot sooner. It'll probably be about next year where all those people who are in it for the ego are gonna fall off. Just ego, me, I'm so enlightened, I'm the star, me, they're gonna fall off.
I mean, that's what Pluto and Aquarius is too. Like, and that's Leo. Leo can be very self-absorbed. So when a planet comes into a sign, you always look at the opposite sign and go, that's where you can learn from, but also that's not where it's at. The planet is in Aquarius. It's not in Leo. So it's going to take the self-absorbed, me only, my kingdom only, and destroy people who are in those spaces. So that's why I don't worry about the WEF and like all that, because they say that they're helping people in the world. But what they're doing is they want control of the world or control of how people are with them, their own control of their own kingdom and how they do it. That's not going to work in the vibration of the earth is not matching that. So like, I know people get scared of this shit, but there's nothing to be scared about.
Right.
Like, cause again, you're going to have what, 5 to 10 to maybe 20 people in this room. And then at a WEF meeting, and then they're going to try and tell the masses that are going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Even the policemen or even and we keep seeing that happen. Just when anybody tries to fucking go all ego, like my fucking kingdom, my world shit, what happens? The police chief in the town, the fucking sheriffs, the whatever, we're not following that. That's against the Constitution. We're not following that. We're not doing that. No. You always see the people come together. So, you know, I think that people don't be scared, just shed your ego. But if you know that you're living in that space where it's just only about you, this is definitely your wake-up call moment.
Yeah.
You know, like, because like no matter how hard you try to do that, or I feel bad for people who keep living off the person they were in the past that made a success, but then don't want to adapt to where they're at now.
You mean like retired sports stars and shit? Or
yeah, and especially you see that in acting, or you see that in, you know, it's like, I should be talked to because I was great once.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if it's a documentary about your end of life story, once you die, we usually do that. And then you get showed at the Oscars, you know, like remembering the people fallen this year. But people are trying to, I don't know, still run off what they used to do instead of doing what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel bad for Jim Carrey. Like, he's
the first name that come to my mind when you said that.
He's one of those people, like, he fucking awoke so much that he revolted against what he did, even though what he did was an awakening experience itself, being those roles and being fully expressive, right? Talks about his $5 million check he's to carry in his pocket, manifests that, gets people to think differently about manifesting, and then doesn't continue. So it's like, we're working on Jim Carrey 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you know, spiritual talk.
Yeah.
Where's the Jim Carrey today?
Yeah. Well, that
you know what I mean? Like where it's like somebody like Mel Gibson, who was kicked out of Hollywood, never has regretted any of the work that he did. And whether it comes to child trafficking, taking a stand on it, helping produce the stuff that's exposing it. That, to me, it's like, well, Mel's a great guy. He's still doing the shit. Or even, you know, there's some people out there. There's some. But too many people fall back into, like, you know, it's like kind of like Oprah, right? Like, Oprah used to do a lot. She used to have her own network. She used to be the #1 talk show. You know, it's like, and then you step into the Miami situation and start asking people for money.
Yeah.
In the worst economy ever. And you do that with The Rock, as if you guys are the two most highest paid fucking celebrities in the world. And you're asking people to donate money.
Yeah.
When you're the one who lives there and you're the one who bought all the property around it, and none of your property got burned.
I think that.
I mean, you know what I mean? Like that ain't gonna fly no more. And it's weird because she's an Aquarius.
Yeah, I think that was done intentionally.
I mean, I agree. Especially if you look into it, everybody's painting their houses blue. The top of their house is blue.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean,
and that's kind of creepy because in other countries, if you look in China, you look in different parts of the Middle East, you even look in Russia, they're all painting their tops of their roofs. In North Korea too, they're painting it all blue.
yeah. No, I meant like. Well, remember what we talked about at the event? How I think there's a lot of things they're doing intentionally to try to wake people up.
Yeah.
Oprah and The Rock asking for money. I think that was a white hat operation. I think that's what that was because it's going to make people say, "What the fuck?" I think it could be wrong, and I'll gladly take it on the chin if I am wrong. But my belief is they were put there to do that to open people's eyes. That's what I think. And like with Jim Carrey, what you were talking about how talks about how he manifested the $10 million check or whatever. But then what I think he doesn't understand that he manifested that by accident, not by accident. He meant to do it, but he doesn't understand how it works. So I think he got into a place where, like you said, he became too awake, too fast. The human brain can only process so much before the human brain starts spazzing and going crazy, where I personally feel like what he should have done was stopped and said, okay, well, let me teach how manifestation works so that people can understand how to take control of their frequency.
Well, then his girlfriend died, and he was giving her the medication that she OD'd on like 3 or 4 years ago, and then like the family's trying to sue him for...
Probably fucked him up in the head.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh.
Right? So it's like... Maybe he's too afraid to come out because his lawyers are saying, like, if you admit this, then, then you might go to jail or whatever. Right? But it's a sad, tragic story because, you could tell in his interviews when they go to his house and he created a meditation sanctuary and all these kind of things for him to get out of it. Yet him embodying it in full life is just like really hard for him to, it's like you don't see him going to spiritual events. I think there's a couple of videos I've seen, but they haven't really been that, like somebody with that much energy. That's what I think light work in Pluto Aquarius will be for 19 years is like the universe will give you the shot. It's what you're going to do with it. Mm-hmm. And I think when you take somebody like him, who everybody around the world knows, and then he does it, and then he's given the shot and he doesn't take it fully.
I don't know, especially as a Capricorn.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, Pluto's been in his sign. He's a Capricorn. So he's controlling the narrative too much instead of looking at the opportunity of like, let's scale this as high as we can. Let's take the spiritual thing to the highest level we can. It's like that, he's looking at it the wrong way.
Yeah. Because he could take that energy and utilize it.
He could be a huge force for the good. And then I'm not saying he's not. I'm just saying it's like he's not doing it
to the full potential
at all.
Yeah.
It's not like you just, I mean, he tried to do that by making paintings in 2019 and it was all based on hating Trump, So that was kind of an interesting, I think, difficult thing because no matter how much I might not like somebody, like let's say Biden or something, it's not like my main part of my work is just making a book about drawing Biden falling off stairs or, camera change, or doing things like that. Like, it's not like I'm drawing Biden pooping on himself or something. I don't know. And then that's what's kind of weird because maybe there was a white hat operation that kind of took him out of the game.
Well, you know what rumor I heard?
A lot of weird things with Jim Carrey.
I'll tell you what rumor I heard, and if you go to my Instagram, I made a video on this. It was a screen recording that Jim Carrey was one of the actors playing Joe Biden. I heard there was two different actors playing Joe Biden, wearing a Joe Biden mask, and that Jim Carrey was one of them. And if you go to my Instagram, you might have to dig a little bit, but I have the side-by-side shots of Jim Carrey and this Joe Biden. They have the exact same eyes, the exact same ears, and I show them side by side, and they look identical almost.
The other one I think is Dana, right? I forgot his last name, but yeah, it could be. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's what I heard going around the truth community, that of all these people, basically, they went and they arrested pretty much in 2020. They arrested almost everybody between 2020 and 2021, and the majority of them were given some sort of deal, like you either cooperate with us or you don't. If you cooperate with us, you get to leave a legacy. So we'll say that you died of a heart attack or whatever, but they were all executed. But like there were some of them that got little special deals. Like Sam Smith is another one that I heard. It's a white hat operation. It's like, yo, we're going to use you to wake up the public, or you know what, you're going down for treason or child trafficking or whatever it was. So he doesn't want to be up there doing this silly shit he's doing. He is not happy with doing that at all, but he's doing it because that's part of the deal that he took to either get him out of it or get a lighter sentence. Like, we're going to put you up there and you're going to go up there and you're going to make a fool of yourself because we're waking people up. So that's why they have people dancing as demons. They're putting it right in your face now to wake people up. So there's certain people that got special little, you know, like, yo, you do this, we'll let you off the hook if you do this for us. You got to play a part in this operation. And that Jim Carrey got to play Joe Biden and go up and make an ass of himself and act like an idiot and play a fool of himself and end quote, repeat the line, you know, and tripping and falling up the stairs and acting like he's lost and all this shit, you know, and to wake people up. That's what I heard. And to be 100% honest with you, I hold the firm belief that that's true.
I mean, just the robot Biden, like, looks like, I mean, that's taken from a character that would be a comedian.
Yeah.
Because it's it's like super dramatic. It's not just like a fucking, you know, it's super like, oh yeah, over there, you know, like it's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like if a real dementia patient was doing that, it would be a little bit more subtle. Like, you know, I don't know where I'm going. Like, you know, like his is so like.
Mm-hmm.
So, and all the green screen that you see everywhere, that it's like obviously something's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think no matter what it is, a King of Cups is just sitting and watching it, not tripping out about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know, so I think that's a good way to solidify that ever-changing emotional wave. I think that the best way to do it is like know which wave to take. As a surfer, you don't just take every wave. Like some of them are too big, and it's okay to be. Some things are too big to take at the moment. Doesn't mean that it's not the right time, or that you'll never reach it. It just means that there's something off about it. Might be what you were looking for, but it's not exactly what you were looking for. And I'll wait for the next set.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, there it is. And so I think if people can get more in that spot, it'll be better. You don't want to look like that guy trying so hard that's on the little waves at the beginning and flying off. You know, and that's hard. In jet skiing, you know, it was like I wanted to be a racer, and then it was like I wanted to be a pro, and it's like, oh, you got to go race novice class first. Just that name.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember just instead of like complaining about it, like I'm showing up to this thing, and I put my confidence in that first race. I almost died. And I went, well, this is a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah.
And then, you know, doing that whole season of winning it, okay. And that took so much commitment, dedication, and time. And then, yeah, by the next year, I got to race in pro. And then it was like, oh, okay. But now I could care less about whether it's pro or not. I just want to go have fun and race.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes in life, you know, there's that bullet you got to. Maybe it's that expression needs to be changed. It's not like you're biting a bullet. It's just like maybe people get too emotionally obsessed with how they want it all to look. Mm-hmm. And then it's not fun, that first door you walk into. It doesn't seem like when you walk into Disneyland, it's that great of a place when you're in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's like you want to, you know, you got to go through the gates. You got to go through the beginning. You got to, you got to walk down Main Street and then define where you're going to go. And the best parts of life are usually not the ride itself, but the things in between the rides, the things you're saying in the lines with your friends.
The journey.
Yeah. You know, the whole thing. That's what's hard is when you know, especially people that are only about the like happy about, if you use a theme park, for example, the time on the ride, but everything in between, they're not happy.
Yeah.
The parking lot, not happy. The walk, not happy. Even going to the bathroom is unhappy. It's just like, fuck. Those are always the best times, is the shit you have fun with in between. Like,
About the journey, yeah.
and then that's what carries on into the ride, where the ride, you're not even taking it seriously and you're fucking with your friends and shit on the ride.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then the person who's so serious about the ride is always not having a good time even on the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, that's the worst.
It's all about the journey.
All right, everyone. Well, it was a good time. We'll see next week how the show goes. And for those that were part of the live event, it was awesome. You can download it if you want and go to highvibe.tv. Just click on Euphoric Equinox. You can purchase it. We had an awesome show. And then Rich did his music live. And then you took Q&A and we did a panel at the end. That was super great. So definitely check it out. We'll see you on the next one.